everyone, and this is my review for TNA Impact Wrestling on September 1st, 2016. And, well, you know, I figured this show was going to be a very interesting one, and it ended up being very much so. It actually ended up being very enjoyable to go along with it. They started off the show with Michael Bennett doing a promo for tonight for that night's match with him and Bobby Lashley, you know, and going off of what was going through the segments from the week before, where it looked like Bobby Lashley invited Moose to go out to meet up with him about dinner and talk business and everything like that. So you had them doing a back and forth in the rings, like, it's like Lashley was like, yeah, we can make this no DQ because I know Moose is not going to help you and everything in that sense. Eventually, Moose does come out and, like, straightens the air. It's like, oh, no, he didn't meet up with Bobby Lashley, but he'd still not forgotten what Michael Bennett had done to him from the week before. So he basically says that he's the one that's going to decide who wins the World Heavyweight title match later that night. Pretty decent. I like the promo from there. It continues building the tension between Moose and Michael Bennett, but also builds tension that maybe Moose will just help Michael Bennett out and cost Lashley the world title in the end. So I ended up thoroughly enjoying this segment of the show. Up next, I wanted to talk about, and it will lead into me talking about a lot more things and how they also kind of ended the show to go along with it as well, because they did a preview for next week's Delete or Decay segment, which I'll talk about here in a moment, because Crazy Steve went up against Broken Matt Hardy. Decent match between the two of them. Not much of a match really in the end. Matt Hardy wins it fairly easily. The aspect was the promo afterwards of Crazy Steve talking about how Rosemary was at the Hardy household and how they were going to abduct Maxwell and everything in that sense, which you saw little spots at the beginning of the show where you have Matt talking to Rebby saying, oh, we got to go to the Impact Zone for this match and everything like that. He tells Vanguard 1 to protect keep grounds of the estate and everything like that. In different crazy and crazy style segments, like you have Jeff, brother Nero, however you want to say him, at this point in time in the household, and they're playing the song that he comes out to, and they're singing it, and like every time someone says obsolete, so does Jeff, and everything in that sense. So you have those little spots to go along with it, and then throughout the rest of the night, you got little moments like where Matt and Jeff are backstage. They're trying to call the household. They're not getting an answer. Rebby and they show like this little creepily spot of Rosemary being in the household itself. And in the end, like I said, it was very interesting how they set everything up, and it was also interesting how Rebby always had the sword around to go along with everything. That was her weapon of choice, was the sword, yet never attempts to use it in any way. Matter of fact, I don't know how. It's like I think she just drops it randomly and it's never seen again at any given point. But it ends with Rosemary having being on one of the balconies, having a baby doll and tossing it at Rebby Sky, basically saying it's like, let's see how much you really love your child and everything in that moment, where it was revealed that it was just the baby doll. Basically what they had done before with Rebby tossing a baby doll to Jeff to distract him, like in one of the first segments that they had done like this. And again, it was definitely an interesting one. And the final words that they said was Rebby telling Senor Benjamin to prepare the battlefield for massacre, because we're getting another one. We're going to get what is now called Delete or Decay. And it's going to be, it's basically going to be another variation of the final deletion. And I'm kind of glad that they're doing this somewhat in this way, because the way that they filmed all of these in the past, you had the final deletion with the Hardys, and then you had this thing with Bram and Rosemary, which eventually brought Decay in there, and they filmed it in another variation of it, with learning a little bit more about Decay and Rosemary and everything like that. And now you have Decay and the Hardys together. So, like, the people who have been doing these kind of segments are the ones that are going to be doing this for this variation match again. So it'll be an interesting watch. Again, I'm not sure if I'm going to live react to it or if I'm going to just review it in a light like this as well. So we'll see how I decide to do everything with that next week. But overall, actually very good build. I thoroughly enjoyed the build. I'm not sure about the whole aspect of Broken Matt Hardy becoming a face in this entire situation, but it seems like the crowd seems to get over with it. They're chanting delete and they're doing other things, so it almost feels like Matt is becoming a face in this situation, which I don't think this character was designed to be a face, but it seems to be doing so at this point in time. You had an X Division promo. As we get away from that and go into the rest of the show here, you had an X Division promo basically putting over what Ultimate X was and the X Division in general. And this, and right after this, they led it into an Ultimate X Gauntlet match. And as you guys know, I'm not a big fan of them using gimmick matches every single week inside of the Impact Zone. Like, the whole aspect of filming these different types of matches and different settings and everything like that, I'm wishy-washy about it. I'm okay with it. And technically, you kind of get, like, these film segments beforehand, and you only get a match every now and again, like you have with the Final Deletion or next week with Delete or Decay. But they use the gimmick matches such as ladder matches, no disqualification matches, Full Metal Mayhem matches, and it seems like they use them on a weekly basis. And again, this is like the third Ultimate X match that we've seen in, 2 months? Now, this is a different variation where they do it gauntlet style, but that's just adding an extra stipulation that, to be honest with you, might not necessarily be that necessary. The match itself, good spots, your typical fare. Very good spots and very good storytelling in certain spots too. I'll be honest with you. I love the ending of the match where you have both the Helms Dynasty, you have Everett and Trevor Lee fighting over the belt on the top, and you have DJZ jumping in to grab the belt to win the match. I thought that was really good. So you had decent storytelling in some of these spots. It's just like, I wish they would build to these matches more. Instead of just like, you have this week of build and Ultimate X next week. It saddens me. It saddens me a little bit. But overall, again, good match, and I like the finish. I thought the finish was done very well for the match, and DJZ ends out winning the title, which I thought would probably be the best way. Like, out of all the X Division guys, he's the one that kind of stands out right now above everybody else. So good to see DJZ with the X Division title, and we'll see where they go with everything on that side. You had a EC3 Eli Drake promo backstage, basically building up their a quick build for their match later in the night, which was an okay match. I was not a big fan of this one. It just felt like they were a little off base in certain spots, but overall it does what it needs to do. It builds EC3 going into the Bound for Glory match with either Lashley or Bennett, since I haven't talked about the match yet, so I'm not going to give spoilers. But they also did like a little bit of tension building inside of that match based off of like Eli Drake saying, "Oh, if I beat you and then you win, I can get I should be getting a title shot after Bound for Glory," and everything like that. So you have that in there. I just felt like they're a little off kilter on their match a bit, and it came out okay in the end. It wasn't anything great. It did what it needed to do, but a little bit sloppiness here and there inside of that match. Up next, you had Ali, who was coming out there to do a celebration. I like the tension that they have between Sienna and Ali in this case, and Maria trying to calm her down and then sending Sienna off to the back. And, of course, brings up to the point of the manipulation of Maria. And it's like, no, this celebration isn't for you. It's for your opponent, who's going to be her. And just forces Ali to lie down, threatens the fire and everything in that sense. So they play it off as Ali going out there wanting to, thinking that the celebration was going to be over the fact that she won the title, and of course Maria puts her down in every way, shape, and form. And now Maria is going to be the Knockouts champion. So it was a good storyline with what they were going for. It's Maria manipulating her way and finally getting the Knockouts title, and we'll see where they go with everything after this. Up next now is the main event of the night, which was Bobby Lashley going up against Michael Bennett for the title. No disqualification, everything in that sense. This match was a pretty good match. I thought it was fairly entertaining. Either way here, good you do have some back and forth in there between Bennett and Lashley. It doesn't make it look like Lashley just completely dominated Michael Bennett in every way, shape, or form. You even have a couple spots with like Maria coming in and trying to either cause a distraction. She takes off her hand brace and hits Bobby Lashley to distract him, and almost not really doing any effect outside of the distraction. And then she even uses the Knockouts title to hit Lashley with it at one point or the other. To go along with it. So they have little spots here and there of trying to get Bennett the advantage without really using Moose in any way, who was out there just kind of standing there for a while. And then, and of course, this leads up to the end of the match where Bennett's Bennett is trying to pass or trying to get a pipe from Michael Bennett that he had given him backstage beforehand. And Moose looks like he's going to hand it to Bennett and then just pulls it away and walks off. Walks off in that sense of everything, and basically costing Michael Bennett the match at that point in time because he was distracted because he decided, he didn't need to be distracted, but distracted, gets speared, loses the match. Overall, like I said, I thought the match was pretty good, and I believe afterwards Moose lays out Bennett to go along with it afterwards to go with that. So it leads into a potential another Bound for Glory match with maybe Michael Bennett and Moose to go along with it. Overall, I felt this show was pretty good. Couple hiccups here and there. Not much to really say. I was though a fan of how the match came off, I'm not a fan of the factor that them using Ultimate X again for the third time in 3 months, 2-3 months. It seems like you get an Ultimate X match every month, and it devalues the match by doing it so often. And then you also have another, not gimmick match, but you have another no disqualification match in there. Again, my biggest problem with TNA, though their storylines are getting much better than they were about a year ago, the aspect of them having to continually use match stipulations on a weekly basis, it kind of irks me. It devalues those style of matches down to a point that we get another one. Oh, here we go. It's here we go again. So that was my only biggest problem. Again, is basically the same thing I've been saying so many times before, which they wouldn't do so many gimmick matches. Otherwise, a fairly entertaining show for this week's Impact. So that is my review for TNA Impact Wrestling this week. I thank you guys for watching, and I hope you have a great day.